Um, I know we've been seeing some really weird stuff going on with advertising. You want to share some of the things that we're seeing?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, for a while now, we've seen in the sponsored brand, advertising, Amazon, and I thought it was just in sponsored brand. Amazon would show, would take a broad match and kind of be a little liberal with where it was showing that term. So, like if you did running shoes, they might show it for not just running shoes, but like sneakers. Okay, so if someone didn't even use the word shoes, they use running sneakers or men's sneakers, they might show your ad for that. So, one of the things that we got very, very, specific with was just being very careful about, doing your keyword analysis with your tools, whether it's Helium 10 or Jungle Scout or whatever. And you grab and you do, we do a lot of work to make sure that we have very relevant keywords. But now that's taken on kind of a new level because if you're doing, like, we have a wood crafting client, and I caught some things, a long time ago. And like Robert, we had a client together where John Deere was showing up for a tractor blanket. Remember that one? And it was like,
Yeah.
Where are they getting John Deere from? Well, just tractor triggered John Deere, and it wasn't like John Deere blanket. It was just John Deere. So it's just weird things happening. And so, but now that has moved into the sponsored brand area as well too. So that's one thing, is on your broad match, learning how to use learning when and how to use the modifier, which is adding a plus sign in front of a keyword. So going back to like running shoes, if you want to always include, men on that, like men's running shoes, and you don't care whether Amazon uses shoes or running shoes or sneakers, but you want to be men and keep the gender, consistent, you would put a plus sign in front of the word men, and it always has to include men. But then you're letting Amazon getting a little bit liberal with the, shoes or sneakers or whatever. But you'd have to put a plus sign in front of every single word in that phrase if you want that phrase to be what used to be a broad match term, I guess a year ago or so. So that's one major change that we've seen in the advertising. But along those topics of the broad match and that kind of thing, have y'all seen anything on your side as well too that is on that same topic?
I think we're definitely seeing some crazy keyword purchases because of that. So if you do notice things, you're like, wait a minute, I don't have this, I don't have this keyword in my listing, but yet Amazon search results are showing it. That's probably what's going on, and that's the fix. So
Sure.
call out.
Well, Steve, that's what you're talking about with the synonyms. And I guess, Wes, you kind of touched on it when you said running shoes versus sneakers.
Sure.
There. And, why is Amazon doing it? We could speculate, well, it's forcing more ad spend, so it's helping them, when you do it. But is it also getting back to that first leadership principle? Is it giving the customer who didn't think about putting the word sneakers in and it's showing up, or vice versa, put sneakers in, but you only bid on shoe, running shoe kind of thing. So it's, one or the other. I don't think it matters, other than just be aware, that this more than likely will happen, and because it's going to affect your ad spend.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think where you have to be really careful is when their synonyms are very fuzzy. So, for example,
speakers would be a good example. Boat and auto.
Yeah, exactly. So
That'd
now
be a
all of a
really
sudden,
good,
now all of a sudden, it's changed the entire intent of that search.
Right.
That is where it becomes really problematic, and we need to make sure that we're kind of using these manual initiatives to kind of force them from doing that.
Yep.
Sure.
And you have to consider, even when you're negating, I can't say that now.
Negating, yes.
Yeah, negating them. Thank you. When you're negating them, Wes, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't you had experiences that lately where you've negated them, but some of the terms have still produced advertising?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was getting ready to segue to that too. So that's a good. So there was two factors there. I had negated some terms as a phrase match, which should negate everything that has that one term in it in the ad group, and Amazon just wasn't respecting that whatsoever. And I think it's because other keywords, even though it's negated as a phrase, other keywords were using a synonym, or it was seeing a synonym, similar, and it was showing up for that keyword. So what I had to do on a keyword campaign is go to the campaign level and do a negative phrase match there, which, you really have to think about that, because before you do it, I mean, obviously in our situation, we were negating a brand term, and it was a very specific brand spelled. It wasn't something like, tractor. So, but I had to go negate it at the campaign level, which controls all the ad groups, and that seemed to work. However, something that did kind of come out of that project was the fact that we still saw branded terms showing up under keywords based around product targeting, which was kind of strange, because what we're kind of figuring out is that, and I did talk to an Amazon advertising executive today, actually, who did confirm that if you're targeting one of your competitors and they actually index under your brand or under terms that you're trying to negate, then Amazon will show a keyword that you've negated from the product targeting, which again has nothing to do with keywords. You're just ASIN targeting something, but it's because it's correlating. This is kind of a complicated thing, but it's correlating the competitors indexing on your page, search result page, is correlating that keyword and then using it as a keyword match in the search result page. So it is kind of complicated, but Amazon can use or take an ASIN match campaign and switch that over to a keyword match as well, which your spend then shifts. And if you've got third-party tools that you're, looking at your spend there, you think that you're negating out this keyword and you're going to have this data for your reporting, but in actuality, Amazon can shift that spend to, product targeting campaigns.
It's an oddball one that's caused some real headaches. So,
yeah.
And in this case, the brand is such a heavy following on their brand that we wanted to cut out all brand spend and really shift it towards all non-brand spend. And Amazon essentially is handicapping us from doing it essentially without giving up other types of ad benefits like the product targeting. So
sure.
Definitely frustration and something that you should be aware of. Any other ad campaign anomalies that we need to be aware of?
I just wanted to bring up in the sponsored display category. I know Amazon is really utilizing account executives to help out sellers, which, trust me, if you can get a hold of an account executive to help you out on your account, do so. They're extremely helpful. They can give you a lot of insights into your category, how much penetration you're having with your brand in the category. Great insights. However, and they're very transparent about this, but you just have to know what to ask. So on the sponsored display side, if you're using VCPM, impression-based advertising, it's a last touch technology, but what that basically means is that if the customer clicked on your item as organic placement and then saw a display ad as an impression anywhere in their search, that ad is going to get the attribution for the organic sale, making the ad look like it has an incredibly low ACoS, when in actuality, you would have gotten that sale organically anyway. So being a last touch technology, ad-based system, I guess my advice right now would be either understand that and accept it and look at your reporting very carefully. Or the other option is you're setting up all your sponsored display ads, do a CPC ad, avoid the VCPM, and you're going to get much more accurate ACoS and ROAS reporting right in campaign manager.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because Amazon makes it look like you're getting so many sales and such low A cost that it's hard to want to turn it off, but you realize that what is truly incremental here, and it's good to test all these things, right? I mean, if you can prove that there's incrementality there and what the actual costs are, then it may be worth it, but there's definitely some risk if you're not careful.
Hey Wes, if someone wants an account executive, how would you recommend getting one? Best way.
Yeah, I mean, so what we've always done is we have one and we've asked them to refer us to, because they're category based. So that's a great question, Dan. You'd almost have to. I have never tried through a support ticket or through a support phone call to ask someone to refer us that way. We've always gotten, an email and then asked that person to refer another account. So,
I think that's why people like us at Prime Guidance, because we have the contacts. Amazon is not about having contacts. Just because you have a contact there doesn't mean you're going to get something resolved. But in a case like this, and Ben, to your question, that's something that we do bring to the party. We know how to find those things quickly. Steve and I always talk about this. So Amazon is always changing, and we are experts in our field there. But because they're always changing doesn't mean that we know every little nuance. But the big thing is we know how to find those things very quickly. We have the resources.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the big thing for us is having an advantage of multiple accounts to be able to see things, across multiple accounts versus a seller. I used to be a seller, so being isolated with your one account. Ben, I mean, I think you could try to go to LinkedIn and look for an Amazon account executive or an advertising executive and maybe reach out. But I will tell you, I've not had much success through LinkedIn doing that. So if I was a seller, and I'm not saying this, the way it's going to come across, but seriously, it's worth an hour time to contact Steve at Prime Guidance and just say, hey, I'm just looking for an account executive, and broach that conversation and get connected quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can make a big difference. It's kind of a catch-22, because if you get a reach out from them, and it's a new account executive, you don't know what their capabilities are, and they say, we can set up all these campaigns for you and everything else. I generally would say, please don't allow them to do that, because they will create very basic campaigns that are really, most of the time, not the way that you would want to have them set up in an optimal manner. It may be, if you were a brand new seller and you just wanted, you didn't know anything you were doing, it could be valuable. But other than that, it'll actually take you a couple steps back. But they can be very valuable in doing is getting you part of beta programs, helping you resolve problems with your ad campaigns. And we use them for more strategic discussions around either things we're seeing or things that are, let's review kind of use cases. When would this new ad campaign be really well suited for our clients, and so forth. And as these guys mentioned, we're oftentimes able to get reps assigned based on our existing contacts that will make referrals for us. So by any means, feel free to reach out. At the end of the webinar, my contact information will be put up. The email is simply steve@primeguidance.com. And I'd be happy to set up a free introductory call if you're not a client, and explain how we work, and actually give a free listing audit and share thoughts about your Amazon listing that will give you some good takeaways on learnings, even if you don't choose to proceed with us. So be happy to talk to you.
Yep. The last thing I would say about the account executive really quick, one of the things I definitely use them for, a lot is they have I think it's an SRT, strategic, I forget what the Amazon term is, but it's an SRT. But it's their assistant, and they can actually make videos for you using the Amazon Creative tool for videos. So no, it's not going to be a lifestyle, production video shot. It's going to be slides, but that's what you could do as well through the Amazon Creative tool. So instead of you spending your time making these videos, they actually do, and they know the tool, unless you've used it for months, they know the tool much better than you do. So you can engage with an account executive and then ask them, give them 10 products. And within a month, they'll have 10 videos made for you that you can utilize in advertising. And you can actually download the video. It's not just captive on Amazon. You can download it and make tweaks, changes to it, and then use it again. So that part is, in my opinion, is very, very valuable.
That is a good point. They're not to the standard that we would develop them. We do our own video production, but we do think that that's valuable. If it's going to take you a long time to get to develop a bunch of ad or videos, that's something that can be a really good asset. And by the way, there's reps that we use that help get into NARF, North American Retail Fulfillment. So you can sell in Canada and Mexico, that help you expand into Europe and Australia and other countries. Those that specialize in FBA and really getting the most out of utilizing FBA to the most extent. There's different areas that there's SaaS core reps and so forth, different contacts that we're able to help get you a part of when it makes sense. So if you are already a client and we don't have any of those relationships established with you, reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to explore that with you. And of course, that's one of the values that we bring in engagement with us.
That's true, because Amazon gets you free VAT registration, free monthly VAT accounting every month for a year. So it's all benefits to expansion. Yeah, and they're always changing those promotional offers and so forth. So you can't always count on them, but there's always something that is out there to be had. And a little housekeeping. I know it's the start of a new year. Make sure that you have liability insurance in place, something that's adequate to protect you. Because remember, your inventory at Amazon is your inventory. It falls under your ownership, your responsibility. You need to have the liability insurance that's going to cover you. When you signed up, you basically told Amazon that you will always have a policy and that you will have your insurance company automatically mail them a new declaration page every time it's renewed. And I think that there's just a lot of sellers out there that are not maintaining their responsibility. If you're a big enough account, Amazon oftentimes will mandate that you do, send that over and they'll follow up with you. But I think there's a lot of small accounts that potentially put themselves at risk by not doing that. And if you think about the tornadoes that went through, I think it was Tennessee. It hit an Amazon warehouse. I don't know who ultimately was responsible, but essentially that's your inventory. If it got impacted, you would potentially have liability for it. And one of our clients lost, what was it, like $60,000 in inventory in FBA. It was some massive amount, and they actually got reimbursed for most of it, and then Amazon found it and did a charge back against it. But the reality is that Amazon could lose all your inventory, or the carrier could lose all your inventory, and it's your responsibility. So you just don't want to take that kind of a risk. Yep, very true.
So I know we're at the end of the hour. Anything that you guys wanted to say or wrap things up? Anything else?
Nope, I think that covers it for me. Just as you said, look at the past, look, plan for the future. Don't worry about your competitors. Make sure you're buttoned up with that.
Yep. And don't be comfortable, essentially.
Yes, always don't be complacent. Yeah.
Always continue to refine. And I like to use a statement, progression over perfection. Meaning, I'd rather see you constantly get better and better, a little tweak here, a little tweak there, than waiting to implement something until it's perfect. To me, that's something that Amazon does really well. They just move really fast, they adapt fast, and oftentimes their step forward is not perfect. I things like the Prime Wardrobe that they ultimately renamed, buy before you, or try before you buy. That at first seemed like a failure, but they reinvented it and is turning it into a good program. There's been a lot of instances like that. So you would never know if you didn't try and put it forth, with the effort and say, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna test. I'm gonna learn, and then I'll react. So with that, we will let you go. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.